The stars are right, and that means it's time for another episode of The Whisper in Darkness. I'm your host, the Man from Lang. Thank you very much for joining me today. On this episode, we have some Innsmouth conspiracy spoilers for you. This is part one of a two-part series. The first part will cover the encounter cards, and the second part that will cover the two-player cards that FFG generously provided. Thank you very much for the spoilers. It's always appreciated. Before we get started, I would like to thank the patrons of this channel for their tremendous support, and Nate Lost in Time and Space for the awesome new intro. The Arkham Horror LCG community is amazing, and these people have gone above and beyond to bring you content like these spoilers. If you'd like to become a patron of the channel and support the channel's goals, head over to patreon.com, sign up for a tier of your choice, and claim your rewards. That would be awesome. The first encounter card spoiler that we have today is Deep One Bull. It is an enemy with 4 fight, 5 health, and 2 evade. It has the humanoid monster and Deep One traits. It has a forced effect. After Deep One Bull engages you, choose and discard 1 card from your hand. And it has another forced effect. After an investigator defeats another Deep One enemy at any location, ready Deep One Bull and move it once toward that investigator's location. Deep One Bull is a beast. He has above average fight and health values, which are going to be no joke for investigators to take this guy down. 5 health is not a great number. That will take you 3 shots from your typical weapon in order to kill this guy. It is even worse for investigators who are relying on events to get the job done. Events like Blood Right, I've Got a Plan, and Spectral Razor typically only do, most of them will cap out at 4 damage. So if you play one of those events, you will not kill this guy. You will need either another event in your hand to finish the job if you don't happen to do enough damage, or you're going to have to take a typical combat action, which those investigators are usually not that great at. So this guy could pose a bit of a problem for both regular combat-oriented investigators as well as those who just splash a few events in their deck to handle enemies. He does have a below-average evade value, however, and unlike most Deep Ones, he lacks the Hunter keyword, making it a little easier to avoid him in a fight. With that 2 evade, most investigators should be able to get away from this guy as long as you are able to commit some cards and or resources to the skill test and leave him sitting at a location while you move away. Now his forced effect, which is similar to many that we've seen on other Deep Ones, we saw the Ravager of the Deep and the Emerging Deep One in the Into Deep Mythos Pack preview, as well as the Young Deep One from the core set. They all have abilities that trigger when they engage you. The Young Deep One, for example, will deal, I believe it's 1 horror to you if you engage it. This guy forces you to discard a card from your hand, which could be problematic if you're using a dodge tank like Wendy Adams to keep this guy occupied, since that forced effect is going to trigger every single time that he engages you, and you're going to lose a card. Now, fortunately, the discard is not random. You get to pick which card you lose, so I guess it could be worse, but you're not going to want to dance with this guy too long, otherwise he could hit your hand quite a few times. Now, while this Deep One lacks the Hunter keyword, which most Deep Ones have, he does have a Hunter-like forced effect that enables him to pursue investigators if they defeat other Deep Ones at their location. This guy will ready and move once toward that investigator's location. So if you engage a Young Deep One, you're going to take 1 horror, and then if you defeat it and this guy is next door, he will move over and he will hit you for 2 health, which is 2 damage is pretty beefy, especially if you are not an investigator with 9 health or so. If you're one of those investigators like some of the Mystics and Seekers, who only have 5, this guy will take a significant chunk of your health off you. So, it is highly likely, I think, that investigators will be killing deep ones, because all of the deep ones that we've seen so far, except this guy, have had the hunter keyword. So they're going to hit the table and they are going to give chase, and the only way to really get rid of them is going to be to kill them. And if you start killing deep ones, this guy could make a dramatic appearance as he moves across the board to engage you. His forced effect will trigger every time you kill a deep one. So say you get swarmed by a couple of these things and you think you've left this guy in the dust long behind you, he will move each time you kill one of those, and could catch up with you just in time to hit you for 2 damage during the enemy phase. So this guy is not one that you want to play around with. I think if you can evade him and then put a great deal of distance between you and him, and then hopefully you won't see too many other deep ones that will pull this guy. I guess the good thing is that the maps that we've seen so far for the Innsmouth conspiracy scenarios, in particular Into Deep and the one that was spoiled recently, Devil Reef, are quite large. So there is a chance that you could put a great deal of distance between you and the Deep One Bull and not have to worry about it. Our second spoiler is Macabre Momento. This is it is a treachery with the terror trait and has the revelation test 3 willpower. If you reveal a cultist token during this test, you automatically fail, and if you fail, you take 2 horror. This is the Rotting Remains analog for this deluxe expansion. I do like the art. That is a very cool painting of a skull at the bottom of the ocean, where I expect many investigators will go as this campaign goes on. The willpower test is right in line with what we have come to expect from most of these Rotting Remains analogs, but it is an all-or-nothing affair. You either take 2 horror or you pass, unlike Rotting Remains, which has a sort of graduated scale. You can take anywhere from 0 to 3 horror, depending how badly you do. On this one, it's either 0 or 2, and 2 is substantial. That will definitely hurt some of those guardians out there who don't have a ton of sanity to work with. Now, the odds of failing this skill test are slightly higher than they are with Rotting Remains, because the cultist token is an auto fail as well. Of course, that depends all on how many cultist tokens are in the chaos bag. We don't know yet how the campaign is going to progress and how many of those tokens are going to end up in the bag. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if you started the campaign with like 2 or 3 cultist tokens in the bag and go from there. Macabre Memento could get quite scary, actually, if the cultist token also has some other ability or effect that triggers when you fail a skill test. Say if it's like, in this case, it would be auto fail, and then if you fail a skill test, you lose 3 resources or something like that. So you would lose 2 horror and 3 resources on top of that. That would get very painful if you pulled too many of those. Of course, we don't know what the cultists will do in any of the scenarios yet, but that is something to watch out for if you are both losing 2 horror and then also suffering the effect from the cultist. So a very straightforward treachery, a fairly average skill test. Your mystics and whatnot should have very little trouble with this one, but if you do fail, you are going to take 2 horror, which is nothing to sneeze at. And of course, the odds of failing this skill test are slightly higher because the cultist is also an auto fail. That's going to do it for the encounter card spoilers. Thanks again to FFG for providing the spoilers. They are always appreciated. And I will be back in part 2 with the player cards. We've got a couple of very interesting player cards to look at, and I hope that you will join me then. That's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoy what you hear, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you need to contact me, I can be reached at manfromlang@gmail.com. I am also on Twitter at manfromlang. Until the stars are right, keep your shotgun close and your elder sign closer. Take care out there, and happy investigating.